there's a lot of businesses in 2024 where we stand today that can be done without any type of manual human interaction. But a real estate transaction, the biggest transaction someone's going to spend money on in their entire lifetime, it's built on relationships. My philosophy of real estate is build relationships, solve problems, and have fun.
Hey, welcome back to the Real Estate Excellence Podcast. This afternoon, I have a facilitator for our upcoming Rebar Bar Camp One Coast in the house. He's a realtor, speaker, and coach. His motto, it's all about building relationships, solving problems, and having fun. He has been a licensed real estate agent for 25 years, recognized in Inman News as one of the top 100 most influential leaders in real estate, top 20 most influential people in social media for real estate industry by the Swanee Pool, if I pronounce that correctly, report. For 3 years in a row now, he has been recognized by the state of Ohio for his excellence in real estate instruction. He created Sean Speaks in LLC in 2018, where he's had over 350 speaking engagements focused on creating memorable customer experience, leadership, and growth. Let's welcome Sean Carpenter to the show.
What's up, Tracy? How are you?
I'm doing excellent this afternoon. Glad to have you on. As I've dug into Kim's roster there and got to know, and I'm like, wow, she's really got a really great lineup of facilitators. And I'm really excited to reach out to as many as I can here in the next few weeks. So your audience has a little bit of knowledge of, who you are, where you're coming from. And like I said, pre-show, they run into you the hallway. Hopefully, maybe whether they're from Ohio or whatever it is, that they connect with you and have a conversation with you and get a little bit more out of the RE Bar Camp. So as I kick off the show, Sean, tell us about, where you're from and then what led you to the University of Florida.
I'd love to. Let me preface by saying how excited I am to get down to St. Augustine for the One Coast RE Bar Camp. It's Kim and her team there, all the volunteers in the Northeast Florida area, just put on an amazing event. I'm probably one of the longer term facilitators. This will be, I think, my 35th or 36th bar camp around the country. And, this is a big one. It's a big one and people come in from it. That's one of the cool things about the events like RE Bar Camps is hearing the different voices. And I think that's what Kim and her team do a good job of, not just hearing the local voices, but the national voices, because it'll reinforce what's happening in your local marketplace is working. It'll also give you some insights to what might be coming or what might have worked in other places. So my background, Tracy, I grew up in Columbus, Ohio. My father taught at the Ohio State University for 29 years up until the day he died. I was given a choice on where I wanted to go to school. My parents sort of set some parameters on how much money they were going to pay, whether we went in state or out of state.
Right.
So given that free reign to choose, I wanted a place like Ohio State, but in the South. I wanted a school that was warm and had a good sports program and had a big Greek system. I looked at Florida and I looked at Florida State. I looked at Georgia where my dad went to school and I fell in love with Gainesville from the moment I stepped foot on it. Decided to go to Gainesville. Was in no hurry to get out. Spent the best 6 years of my life there. No, I'm not a doctor. I just took 6 years to get through because I figured out a way to maintain the number of credits I needed to be a full-time student, but also have some fun. And
right. Well, I saw that on your LinkedIn, you had 85 to 91. And I'm like, okay, was he looking to be a full-time student? What was going on there?
I had a good time. I was very active in my fraternity and took a leadership role on there. And I was majored in exercise and sports science, Tracy. So I was thinking I wanted to go into sports administration.
Right.
I thought to myself, I wanted to get front office of like the Yankees, or the Red Sox, or the Atlanta Braves, or some sports team.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't really know what that meant. I'm as a sports fan, I thought I'd get involved in the sports business. After getting out of college and sending off hundreds of resumes, I kind of got in the golf business, worked in the golf shop near my house, and eventually got kind of called away to a course that was just opening up in Florida. I had my Florida Gator shirt on in the pro shop one day, and this guy said, "Hey, my brother-in-law is getting ready to open a golf course in Florida. You might need an assistant pro." So I went down there and got in the golf business after graduation. Was in the golf business for 3 years. Was not a tour level pro, but it was in the, working to be a professional. Did that for 3 years at a big resort course in Brooksville, Florida. And then up in Cleveland at a private club called Avon Oaks Country Club. Realized I didn't want to be in the golf business long term. So I moved back to Columbus and became a beer salesman. Worked for the Miller and Coors distributor in town, called on all parts of the city, but eventually landed at the Ohio State University as my territory.
Mhm.
So I'll tell your audience, if you're ever going to sell beer, pick a spot where there's 50,000 students. That's a good spot to sell beer. But I thought to myself, Terry, as I started thinking about maturing and growing up, I thought, what's a career that will allow me to drink beer and play golf? So I got into real estate in 1998.
There you go.
And, and
I
that's what,
was wondering,
that's
that was
what,
one of my questions. What were you doing between 91 and 97? So you just answered that for me. The golf pro and then beer sales. So you're get your fancy towards real estate. Is someone you know, or you just got an epiphany?
we'd had a good experience with buying our first house, and working the beer business, as you can imagine, it's very similar to real estate. You're working every day. Holidays and weekends don't matter. Golf business, you're working every day. Holidays and weekends don't matter. And so I was looking for a job that I had a little more, control over my time and my schedule. And it's very cliche to think that real estate, you're your own boss, but you're really the boss of all your clients if you
Mhm.
think about it. But I reached out to our realtor and said, "Hey, Bonnie, I'm looking to make a change, and do you think I'd be a good fit for real estate?" She thought, "Oh my gosh, with your personality and with your network and with your energy, I think you'd be a great fit for real estate." So I did some research and found out how to get licensed in Ohio, and my wife and I, set aside kind of a budget to go through the classes. And
Right.
'cause when I made the decision I was going to do it, I decided I was going to jump in full time
Oh,
to the business. So did that. And my career in a nutshell, I was an agent for 4.5 years, very successful, working my way up in the business. And then was given an opportunity to become a branch manager. I had taken on the role of assistant manager, but I still got to sell real estate. And
right.
so I had to make a decision on if I wanted to leave sales to go into management. Now we had just had our first child at the time, Tracy. And so I thought to myself, well, to have a paycheck and have benefits was a pretty good opportunity. Right. And I did that and stopped selling, managed office for 2.5 years with the Coal Maker Company in Columbus, Ohio.
So I mean, you've been in the business long enough. Training has been a big part of it. By reading your LinkedIn and so forth. So imagine you are asked a lot by people who are thinking about getting into real estate, because this is a question that comes up a lot. The part time or diving head first in. I mean, if people could, what kind of conversation you have when someone asks you that?
Well, it is a career, right? It's
Mhm.
not a job, it's a career. And so that makes it really difficult to be part time. Now, I won't sit here and tell you that I don't think it can be done part time. I think it can be done part time to a certain level that is a part time success level. But I think if you're going to truly make it a career, it, a full time opportunity is probably what it's going to take. Now, there are people, Tracy, that are interested in getting into a career in real estate and they have visions of becoming a full time realtor, but they maybe can't do it right now because of, they have bills to pay, they've got college debt to pay.
Right.
Maybe they've got a good job where they're at now, but they want to start transitioning out. When I was a manager, I would talk to a lot of agents who said, Tracy, I'll go full time when I can replace the 40,000 I'm making at my other job. I said, okay, so let me get this straight. You're making 40,000 at your other job. You're making 40,000 in real estate. Well, at this point, you're making 80,000. Why would you quit either one?
Mm.
What I need you to do is have some faith, Tracy. If you join our company, you join the industry,
Mhm.
you get on some success pattern, you maybe make 30,000 your first year or your first 6 months, whatever, that you have faith that if you could go full time in real estate, that you could drop your other job and go beyond that 40,000. You could go to 60, 80, 100 and be able to control your schedule and your time. So the part timers can certainly do it. I think part timers need to understand that part time, if you're thinking part time means 5 to 10 hours a week in real estate, that's gonna be your challenge.
Yeah.
If you're thinking part time means 40 to 50 hours a week and then have another job as well and be a parent and be a spouse and, stay healthy and play golf and do the things you want to do, that can be a big challenge, but it can be done. Some of our best agents in our business today started as part time agents, but when they were able to put 100% commitment into their business, it made them that much better.
Right. So you, from again going back to your LinkedIn, which is your resume, you get into training early at Coldwell. Am I correct?
I did, our role back then, early 2000s as assistant manager was to help the manager with recruiting and with training classes, right?
Right.
Teaching new agents the tools and technologies early. Cause I was a kind of a rising star agent. The director of training at the time invited me in to teach open houses to the new agents, like a guest speaker. And I started enjoying that. And the agents really responded to my lessons and ideas. And so they asked me to teach a couple more classes. When I became the branch manager, I was able to do our own trainings and our meetings and stuff like that at our office, much like Kim does at her Fleming Island office, a great
Right.
job with. And I really started in those 2 years of managing, Tracy. I realized I loved the coaching and training part of the job, but I kind of hated the managing part of the job. I hated the P&L. I hated
Mm.
the staffing. And I hate the staff. I hated this, setting up the schedule and responding to the alarm at 3 o'clock in the morning because an agent left the door open, or, those types of things. So our president at the time had been watching our office. I'd been watching the way I led meetings and trainings and helped other agents and other company or other offices with their trainings. And I was given the opportunity to become the director of education for our companies in Columbus and Cincinnati. So I was able to kind of expand that role and was luckily given kind of carte blanche to build the training program that I thought agents of the time needed. And so I started teaching our new agent training. I started teaching our experienced agent training. I started doing our company events and workshops around the offices and CE and all
Let's go.
those things.
Let's go back to that time a little bit in what you were doing then. Of course, the technology. Now we're 20 some years from that when you first started and taking that director position. Obviously, I assume over other you're training trainers as well here. What are some of the things that you besides well, I say let's take technology out because obviously your trainers now are teaching a lot of technology and the different apps or different the different things that the tech stack that everyone has. But the market at that time, 98, 2000, early, before the collapse in 2007, what they were training on then versus what they're training on today. What kind of things are you noticing difference, or things that you were training on that are so much better today because you just advanced them, you just made them better?
Well, I think the first thing is what I'm training today, what I'm training 20 years ago, what it was probably trained 50, 60 years ago when the industry was much different,
Mm-hmm.
is that it's not a house business, it's a people business. It's a relationship business. It always has been, it always will be. The the fact is that we work with houses. That's the widget that we work with in real estate, but it's about the people that live in the houses,
Right.
people that live in the apartments, in the townhomes. And so the relationship aspect of the business is really where everything starts, right? You can have the best technology in the world, but if you can't have a conversation face to face, nose to nose, the old fashioned toes to toes with a buyer or seller, it's going to be very difficult to succeed in this business, right? There's a lot of businesses in 2024 where we stand today that can be done without any type of manual human interaction, right? But a real estate transaction, the biggest transaction someone's going to spend money on in their entire lifetime, um, is it's built on relationships. So, but the database is different now, right? From an old-fashioned Rolodex, which a lot of our viewers today might not even know what a Rolodex is, right? But a Rolodex is that pile of business cards, right? In that wheel of connections,
Right.
and I still use a paper planner, and so it's whereas having a CRM now, the MLS was in books and not online. This was kind of pre-internet, very early internet. And so that's what's the same is it's still about the ripple effect, right? If I know 100 people and they know 100 people, I'm only one contact away then from 10,000 people.
Right.
If those 100 people know 100 people, I'm only two contacts away from a million people. But the key is, as you know, Tracy, you've been in the business long enough to know,
Mhm.
I'd rather know a lot about five people than nothing about 500. Because if I can know a lot about five people, their name, their kids' names, their spouses' names, their pets' names, where they went to college, their sports interests, hobbies, and their favorite beer, those types of things. Those people are going to turn around and tell their tribe about me. If I go back and try and meet their tribe without going through them, I'm a total stranger. But if I use the ripple effect to grow my business, that's how people can have a successful foundation in the business. Then they can leverage it with technology and experience and confidence and competence.
So, we're in our 50s, you and I, and you were, did I pronounce that right? The Swanee Pool? Is
Yes,
that
Swan Pool. Yep,
Swan
Swan
Pool?
Pool.
Is that how it's pronounced? Report puts you as an influential social media person in real estate. That's the big, you go to any, I would say 9 out of 10 trainings, it seems, maybe not that high, 7 out of 10 trainings that's offered for the real estate agents wherever is talking about social media, video, all, get out there, to use it as a tool. How did, when this started, because this evolved in your 25 years now, the social media involvement, I guess, you probably, I'm thinking post 2010. I mean, nobody was really doing, email wasn't even around until, the mid 90s, where people were regularly, AOL and stuff was starting to become a regular thing. It really wasn't until, and correct me if I'm wrong, 2000 teens before the social media platforms are coming around. Yet a lot of people still don't know how to use it, and there's so much room. What kind of attitude did you have at first? Did you say like, "Oh my God, this is a blessing in disguise. This is just a, and jump into it," or did you take some time to figure out, well, we can actually use this as a tool in real estate?
Well, you mentioned it in my intro. My philosophy of real estate is build relationships, solve problems, and have fun. Right. I
Hmm.
think when people ask me how do I succeed in the business, I say don't focus on listings, don't focus on sellers, don't focus on getting referrals, focus on building relationships, solving problems, and having fun. If you
Hmm.
do those three things every single day, the listings, the buyers, the referrals will happen. Social media gave me an opportunity, Tracy, to realize that I could build relationships further and faster and freer with people than I could one person at a time in Columbus, Ohio. Right.
Hmm.
I could network with other agents. I could network with high school classmates and college friends and people had similar interests and similar stories and similar dreams. And so creating that network. And then once you have it though, not treating it as are you a lead? Right. It's, can we build a relationship so that over time I might earn top of mind awareness from you as a referral source, as a information source, as a guide, as a support person. And so, you won't see a ton of me on social media dancing and doing lip sync videos and things like that, which not saying that's wrong. It's just a different approach. I use social media to extend my brand. Right? My brand is more than the Coldwell Banker company I work for. My brand is I'm a realtor. Right? My brand is Coldwell Banker.
Right.
My brand is Ohio. My brand is Columbus. My brand is University of Florida, where I went to school. My brand is golf. My brand is beer. My brand is Top Hat and the Heartbreakers. Right? It's all those things. And so on social media, I can be that. I don't have to be just Sean Carpenter, talking head realtor. I can be father, husband, child, son. I can be these types of things, that are who I am.
I imagine you teach some social media classes. Obviously, I don't think you
I
become a
do.
top 20 influential person unless you're instructing. Is there, actually, I haven't heard it recently, but for a while there, they people wanted to come out and say, "Oh, you need to do it this way. You need to do." As a guest I had on last week, she really felt her Instagram was one of her ways, obviously staying in front of her people, and she didn't split business with her personal. Obviously, she watches what personal stuff she puts on her Instagram page, but she wanted to feel that her influence was over her friends, and reminding her friends with some personal stuff, but also reminding her that she's a real estate agent and this is what she does. What is your ideology? What is your thought process? Is there a set way, or when someone says, "Hey, how should I set up my Instagram page?" What kind of conversation do you have with?
Well, I'm all about having just a personal page.
Mhm.
I don't have a business page on Facebook. Never have. Probably never will. Now, once again, if you're going to advertise on Facebook, if you're going to use the advertising and the marketing tools that Facebook provides, you have to have a business page. I've just never, felt that I can be Sean Carpenter, realtor, but I'm also Sean Carpenter, Florida Gator, and I'm also Sean Carpenter, dad, and I'm also Sean Carpenter. So how do I splice that out? I want
Right.
people, once again, that ripple effect goes across all those channels. And so I don't have any, are there some things I don't share? Yeah. But am I pretty open to sharing that I am a beer drinking sports fan with a good sense of humor? Yeah, because that's who I am. You know, here when you're genuine and true to who you are, right? I'm a beer drinking sports fan with a good sense of humor, right? That's kind of one of my taglines. You know who I like to hang out with? Other beer drinking sports fans with good sense of humors. Because you know who they like to hang out with? Other beer drinking sports fans with good sense of humors. And so I can find my audience by
Right.
being that. So if you're a church goer, if you're a gym rat, if you're if you do a lot of volunteering, why wouldn't you want to put that on your social media? Because that's the kind of person you're going to attract.
Right.
And so, and my whole approach with social media is let it be a vision into who you are and what you do. When you can take the online offline or take the offline online and they're the same person. Like I like to say, does your digital twin look just like you? Right. If someone follows me or has been following me for a couple of years and then they run into me in St. Augustine at the end of the month at
Mhm.
RE Bar Camp and they say, man, Carp, you're exactly like I imagined. When I see your videos on YouTube, when I see you do a occasional reel here and there, when I see you post a story or a question on Facebook, that's kind of exactly what I expected. And you've probably ran into people that they're not like their social media. They're completely different on social media than they're in person. And it could be good or it could be bad.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So, one of the easiest tips or techniques I train people on is if you want more engagement, specifically on Facebook or Instagram, use more question marks and fewer periods. Let me say that again.
Yeah.
Use more question marks and fewer periods. Because if I can ask a question to my audience, whether that's on a reel or on a video, asking a question,
Mhm.
like, hey, leave a comment below on, whatever, or I ask a question with a question mark at the end, it prompts people to reply. The more people that respond to my posts, the more I'm going to show up in their feed because they're telling Facebook or Instagram that I want to engage with this person. So show me more of this person's stuff. If then I can respond to their responses, I'm creating a more of a frictionless two-way street on social media for the algorithm to push the two of us up into each other's thread. And if you're going to try and quote unquote use social media to get business, then you need to show up in front of people more often because everyone listening to us, Tracy,
Mhm.
everyone listening to us, every one of their clients, every one of their past clients, every one of their sphere of influence members, they all know 10 realtors in their town. Doesn't mean they're going to use them, but they all know. And so if Joe Smith out there or Sally Jenkins out there slowly starts falling off of that person's Facebook or Instagram feed, but Jack Jackson with XYZ Real Estate does show up in their real estate feed, there's a chance that on the day they need real estate help and Jack Jackson shows up and Sean Carpenter doesn't, that call went
Th-
somewhere else.
That's really brilliant. I've heard that before. It wasn't until you just said that, and I'm thinking about some stuff I just posted because I'll cut reels from this. Everyone I talk to, I cut the nice sound bites and so forth from it like that. And I never it just rang with me. I need to be more intentional with the question marks, like you said. So you will get a few responses, and then of course I sure you recommend in your classes when someone does respond to them. Go back and take a few minutes every day. If someone actually, mentions something under one of your posts to respond to them, not just do the like or love or whatever.
And listen, when you're scrolling through your feed, right? At nighttime, you're just kind of blindly scrolling through your feed and you see a post and it's got 2 likes. And the next post has 7 likes and 1 comment. And the next post has 64 comments. You pay attention to it and you say, wow, what are all these people saying? Right.
Hmm.
And then you go through the comments. Now, what if I ask a question? I like to ask sports or music questions. Those are great to engage people, right? Food questions are good. Travel questions are good. If I ask a question, let's say 45 people respond, and then I go back in and respond to all of their responses. All of a sudden, when you're scrolling through later tonight, it says 90 comments. That's when you're going to stop on. You add your comment in there. You realize in the thread that one of your coworkers or neighbors or friends from the gym is a friend with Sean Carpenter.
Hmm.
You then connect with that person and say, hey, how do you know Sean? He goes, oh, here's our realtor 2 years ago. Right. And you're creating that network, that Venn diagram of connections inside your
Well,
connections.
Facebook is brilliant at even if they made a comment or even if they liked it and didn't even comment, but you also go in and even just like it pops up in your little, the whatever the little area says, hey, your friend liked
The
liked
notifications.
that post as well.
And that's why that's why the questions work so well, Tracy. Because
Hmm.
if I ask a question, let's just say I post a question this morning and 45 people respond. You were one of the first to respond. Later tonight, someone that we're mutual friends with, let's say Kim Knapp,
Hmm.
responds to the post. Because you guys are mutual friends, you're gonna get a notification saying Kim Knapp just commented on Sean Carpenter's post. going to prompt you to go back and see what Kim Knapp said, or you're going to say, "Oh, did Sean ask another question that I didn't respond to yet?" And so it keeps people kind of going back and forth,
Right.
which keeps you moving up that algorithm feed to stay
Stay in front.
to have you show up on their page. Same thing with Instagram stories across the top of your feed, right? The more you post and get watched, the more Facebook or Instagram pushes that to the top left of your phone because it says every time Sean Carpenter's posted a story, Tracy has clicked on it.
Right.
So Sean Carpenter's a new story, put it up top left for Terry or for
So
Tracy.
for those listening to be more intentional in that, I don't know who I was listening to. I think it was one of the gentlemen have the big YouTube channels, but make some write a little bit more, write a complete sentence in your comments. Is that something that also adds to it?
Yeah, Katie Lance, my friend out in California, who's a national real estate social media trainer.
Mhm.
She recommends 4 words or more on your comment, right? To have it kind of have traction with the algorithm. So
Right.
if you post, a picture of a dog and I put cute puppy and that's it, it's not going to pick up. If I say, wow, what an adorable puppy, where did you get it? Or what's his name? Or,
Right.
does it like shoes? Or, is it potty trained or whatever? It's
Right.
creating more of a feed. So just next time you're going to say awesome hairdo or cute pic, add 2 or 3 more words to it to make it a little more authentic and have some traction.
It really brings back. I mean, again, it seems a gentleman's name's going to come to. He has a big. He produces a lot of YouTube, but he also trains a lot on the YouTube. Is social media is designed to be social, and the more you interact with, obviously the people you're trying to influence. For me as a mortgage lender, I want to respond to all the real estate agents, right, when they post whatever and interact. So I'm constantly popping in front of them. As a real estate agent wants to pop in front of their, you know, well, their friends and family and past clients and so forth, be constantly being social with them because that's what social media is about.
And that's what, once again, that's where taking the online offline. I mean, that's
Mhm.
a simple little thing to remember. Take the online offline. So when I'm scrolling through Instagram today or Facebook today or Twitter today, and I see that you mentioned that you just had your best round of golf, in your lifetime, you shot a 75 on, Ponte Vedra's ocean course.
Mhm.
I could comment on that and say, great, great round. Love that course and be among the 65 people that commented. Or I could swing by your house tonight with a 6 pack of beer and a cigar saying, congrats on your career best round. Right.
Yeah.
A
Good
month from
deal.
now, a week from now, which one are you going to remember? The 54th comment on your Facebook post? Or that afternoon you're out having a cigar on your back patio and you remembered your buddy Sean
Who
who,
dropped off the cold beer?
yeah.
Yeah. No, 100% there. This was on your LinkedIn. I wanted to ask you about it. It looks like something you, if I recall, you are an organizer or co-organizer of High Tech, High Touch Success Conference. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So Jeff Chalmers is a lender out of the Boston area. He and I become good buddies through the Inman Connect world, fellow ambassadors. And a couple of years ago, as we were kind of coming out of COVID, we wanted to get in-person events going again. And so we thought, well, where's the real estate industry today? Right. It's high tech for sure, but it also is high touch. And there are agents that are really good at high touch. There are some agents in the industries that are really good at high tech. And if you can put your feet in both those camps, Tracy, I think you realize I can probably win more than if I just go all in on one or the other, right? And so that's kind of where it evolved through. And so our first one was in Buffalo a couple years back, and Jeff's done a couple since, and I just wasn't able to attend. But it's a mixture of conversations about not just lead gen, the obviously important parts of the business, but referral business and RPR and using video and leveraging technology and starting to leverage AI to
Mhm.
be more successful. So it was a fun event that we started, and it's funny you're looking at my LinkedIn a lot. That must be a source that you like to go to
Yeah.
when it comes to social media and stuff like that. I mean, you could be really good on a couple social media channels, but you can't be great on all of them. And so to our listeners, to our viewers, to people we'll talk to at Bar Camp, I would be really good at a couple, but I wouldn't try and be great at all of them, right? I'd rather see you be good on one or two than suck on all of them, right? And LinkedIn is one that it just hasn't kind of, it doesn't energize me, it doesn't catch me. So I try and get on there every other week and post something so I have some relevance. But I know a lot of people like you maybe go to look at the profile, go to look at the resume, go look at
Yeah.
the information there because it is probably the best place to have your your work expertise.
Right.
But if I had to rank social media, I'm probably Twitter or X as it's called now, but I still call it Twitter. Twitter's my first and foremost because I just love the fast paced speed of it, and I get to kind of control who I get to follow and read. And then Instagram and Facebook, I think, are interchangeable.
Mhm.
And then probably LinkedIn.
Would you, and I imagine you get this question too in some of your classes, and yours from your students or just in general. Like you said, every agent, I mean, every person knows, 8 or 10 real estate agents. I mean, especially here in Northeast Florida. I mean, I swear to the neighborhood I have lived in for the last 15 years, every top agent has lived in there at one time or another because it was like the newest community in that county, one of the most popular, well, just up the road from where RE Bar Camp's going to be. And so everyone knows 8 or 10 agents, and their attitude may be, well, social media it's oversaturated. There's too many agents on there. Well, how do you respond to that? That there's importance to have a presence there.
Well, there's importance to have a presence there, but for the right person, maybe I want to be active in my church or synagogue or house of
Mhm.
worship. Maybe I want to be active in my kids' schools. Maybe I want to be active in the local charities. Maybe I want to be that regular at the pub, right? In that little town of Nocatee or wherever you're talking about,
Mhm.
right? That is that, where everybody sees you. Be a be an advocate of your local brewery scene, which you guys have a great brewery scene there in Northeast Florida.
Yeah.
Be an active member of your country club, right? Where you play golf a couple different times a day. You got a force that you play with on Saturday, but you also got a men's league or a mixed couples league that you play with on Tuesdays, and you go to your bourbon tasting on Thursday, and the people at the club know you, and the staff knows you, and social media is just one other source of relationship networking, right? I mean,
What?
people think of farming only as geographic farming, but you can farm people as well. You can farm, you know, I went to school at the University of Florida, but I lived in Columbus, Ohio. I lived in the shadow, still to this day, live in the shadow of the Ohio State University. But for 3 years, Tracy, I was the president of the Greater Columbus Gator Club. So I was in charge of the Florida Alumni Association in Columbus, Ohio. Guess what the University of Florida Alumni Association sends to the president of the Greater Columbus Gator Club every year?
A list of
Names,
everybody.
addresses, emails, and phone numbers of people that have
I've
ties to the
been
University of
president
Florida.
of my alumni. I graduated from the Citadel Military College of South Carolina. I've been president for my
Yep.
club here in Northeast Florida for over a decade. Yeah, I'm with you
Yeah.
there.
And think about that. I mean,
Yeah.
so anyone who comes from Charleston down to Jacksonville, which could be a pretty good military,
Yeah.
coming down to Mayport
Mhm.
or Jacksonville Naval Air Station or whatever. I mean, that's a great network. And that Citadel is,
Mhm.
look, if someone from the Citadel was scrolling through 3 different websites today, mine doesn't mention Citadel and Kim's doesn't mention Citadel and yours does, they're going to see the word Citadel when they click on your page before anyone else sees it.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess where I was leading with the question, would you agree, and you can expand on how you, the point, the the social media is a long-term game. It's not, hey, I bought a bunch of
Oh,
TV ads for the Super Bowl and I'm going to get phone calls off it like, Rocket Quicken Loans might do, right? And get calls instantaneously as soon as someone sees that number. Of course, when refinances were more around, they probably would. But from a
right.
real estate standpoint, even for me as a mortgage lender, it's a long-term play, and consistency is the key. How important is the consistency?
Oh, I mean, consistency is, I think, one of the foundations of the trust we're aiming for in this business, right? There's 3 C's to trust in our business, 3 C's to trust in the world, right? There's confidence, there's competence, and the most important C is consistency, I think.
Mhm.
Because once you have competence and confidence, you got to keep showing people that you are continuously getting better and more knowledgeable about what you do. So, social media is that ever revolving billboard that is changing every day, but it also creates this chronological, I can go back and see what you tweeted about a year ago. I can go back and look at your Facebook post from last month. I can look through your Instagram profile and scroll down the main feed and see all the pictures and videos and reels you've done.
Right.
So I think it's incredibly important. The other, the one thing when it comes to consistency, I blog. I've been blogging since the year 2000. Right. My next blog post that I write next Monday, because I write one every Sunday night that appears on Monday, will be, I think, my 1229th blog post.
Wow.
Right? That's consistency. That's not missing a Monday for 8 years.
Yeah.
Right. which if someone started reading my stuff today and they liked what I said, they can go back and read last week's. And they
Mhm.
can go back and read the week before that. And they can go back and read 4 years from now. And I have a feed on my social media on my phone. It's called Time Hop, where it goes back and tells me what I posted on social media on this date last year and the year before that, the year before that. And so each day is a different kind of memory.
Right.
And so I find some of my old blog posts were posted, a year ago or 6 years ago today, and I go back and I read it. I'm like, I'm going to share that again on social media. Still relevant today. Well, that's a good story. That's a good memory. So the consistency of my blog has earned trust with my audience because they know every Monday in their inbox they're going to get a post from Carp's Corner.
The, I think that's one area of social media that is not utilized enough, and that's the repurposing of it. Like you said,
Yeah.
you going back to a blog post you did 12 months, 18 months, 36 months ago, that's still relevant today in the industry, and in the reposted again. Um, you know, what are some other areas, you're speaking to agents, and the other thing I talk about them a lot with is if they're doing video, to be in the video. Do you think that's important?
Yeah. And that's hard for people, right? There's some people just don't want to be in front of the camera for
Right.
whatever reason, ego, a lack of ego, anxiety, whatever. So I think, do some good videos. Certainly, you could do some community introductions. You could do some, from behind the scenes narrating. You could even do voiceovers, B-roll footage and things like that. But I think it's important to, because I think I couldn't name them because I don't live in your city, but whoever is the sportscaster on NBC or or your local, your morning anchor on the CBS affiliate, right?
Right.
If you ran into them at Publix this afternoon, you'd almost feel like you know them
Right.
because you've seen them every day in your house, in your kitchen while you're making your coffee,
Hmm.
right? And so that video that if you know this may date us, but if Tom Brokaw or Ryan Seacrest or somebody walked in right now, we would feel like we know them because
Right.
they've been in our homes, they've been on our phones. So I think that is a big piece of it. Yeah. So if you can be in it, I think that does add value because then people see that it's you. They see your voice, they see your style, they see your mannerisms, they see your
Hmm.
confidence, they hear your confidence, they feel your confidence. I think that's pretty powerful. But however you show up, wherever you show up, it's that you show up, right?
So this is one area that I talked, because obviously one of the main subjects in over 150 some agents, in your episode 164, they weren't all agents, but is, social media comes up, however they're leveraging it. I've had agents that really aren't doing much at all. Some are doing a lot, get on. But one area that typically isn't brought up, in my opinion, I think is important, is YouTube. And whether you're doing some short form or doing the shorts, because it is a search mechanism. Obviously you go on Google, Google owns YouTube. How do you, what's your feelings about YouTube, and what should be
I love it. I use it all the time. I use it as a consumer all the time
there? Right.
because it is that number two search engine. I use it for how to change the batteries in your in your lock.
Yes, I did that the other day for my
DIYs
wife,
right.
her fob for her car. I had to go on there.
Yeah, we had to reset our our garage keypad, and I watched on YouTube. I would that would be a good goal for me in 2024 is to do more videos, much like this, because then you have something an 8-minute video, a 6-minute video, a 22-minute video to splice up into shorts and reels and
Mhm.
blog posts and AI now it makes it even almost even easier to synopsize it, cut it, you know,
Yeah.
segment it out. And it could be as simple as, me reading my blog post on, a teleprompter and then using that video and cutting out that 90-second, that 30-second, that 60-second opportunity. Look, I mean, today's consumer, tomorrow's consumer, right? My kids, they'd much rather watch a math class than go to a math class or listen to a math class, right? They much rather
100%.
watch a video about something, our whether you like it or hate them, TikToks and Reels are nothing but little stories, 30 seconds, 60 seconds, 15 seconds long.
Right.
But you know what consume, tomorrow's generation isn't doing? They're not reading 20-second stories. They're not reading short stories. They're watching it. They're listening. They're being part of it.
Right.
So I think we can all learn that video is, listen, we don't think of YouTube as a social channel, Tracy, but it is probably the most social channel out there. And here's what I mean by that. I don't know if your parents are still alive. My mom's 87 years old.
Yeah.
She doesn't do Facebook. She doesn't do Twitter. She doesn't do Instagram, but she can watch videos on YouTube,
Yep.
right?
But it's like I mean, we get things, we buy appliances or whatever. They don't even have instruction manuals with them anymore. They just give you the YouTube channel.
Yeah. Which actually is kind of better because I can pause it, I can rewind it, I can watch it again.
Right.
And, you know, I
Seeing
mean, if you think
somebody
about this.
do it versus some black and white schematic on the paper
Yeah.
really helps. Or say, hey, you have to tweak it just a little bit like that to make it fit in there. But I also, from the standpoint of it being a library, and obviously you can go into your library and pull a book out and send somebody that link, like, hey, they have a question about insurance in Florida or something. Maybe you've done a little video or something, and send them that little 5-minute video talking about insurance in Florida. So it's not only you saying it, but they're also able to listen to it. And I found from a mortgage standpoint, the video aspect, even going beyond YouTube, while I was working with a large builder, and obviously their house is not going to be completed for 8, 10, 12 months or whatever. We still had to put the loan in process and get them approved. So the disclosures would go out. They're not really in a rush, but I would actually do a video going over the disclosures, send it to the husband and wife. So both of them are watching the same video, hearing me say the same thing. So you don't have two different people hearing two different things or thinking the other person's not telling them everything. We have that kind of thing going on. And just the utilization of video to simplify it. Cause like you said, I've had many people, because it tells you on BombBomb how many times they watched it. Yeah.
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 I think that's, super smart. And think about this. If I had a question, let's say I was a client of yours, we're in the middle of a, loan and I say, hey, Tracy, you said the next step is underwriting. What does that mean? You say, Sean, you know what? I'm going to send you a short little video, 90 seconds. You and your wife can watch it. Gives you a quick understanding. I watch that video. And at the end of the video, it says, watch these 5 other videos about the home buying process from Tracy.
Yep.
And all of a sudden I watch all 6 of those.
Mm-hmm.
Then 2 weeks later at work, one of my coworkers says, hey, we're thinking about buying a house this spring. Do you have a good realtor? Do you have a good lender? Do you have a good home inspector? Whatever. And I say, yeah, my lender. In fact, let me send you his link to his channel. You'll be more educated before you even start with him. Right. I mean, that's how you get upstream
Yeah.
is you have that content. My son is gonna be a golf pro. Right. And the amount of content on the golf swing that you can find out there
Yeah.
is incredible. Right-handed, left-handed, slow, fast swing, tall swings, skinny swings. It's amazing. And then you can find that you can hone down, my swing to he can show me what Rory McIlroy's swing looks like and Justin Rose's swing looks like, and
Mm-hmm.
use that. So it becomes a tremendous tool at your fingertips.
What are 3 things that new agents need to know before getting into this business today?
That it's a local business. That the first thing they should try and do is make more mistakes, which sounds counterintuitive because they pre-licensing school and they scare you you're going to get sued for everything. The agent that's afraid of making mistakes is probably not going to do anything enough to, you're going to make mistakes. And I'm 25 years in the business, Tracy, and I still make mistakes on, you try not to make any legal mistakes or any lethal mistakes, but other than that, you can learn from them. And then obviously just have a mentor or someone that you can, and that could be a virtual mentor. That could be a podcast or a show like this that you use as a resource. That could be a YouTube channel. That could be, somebody outside the real estate business, someone who's in sales, someone who's in leadership, someone who's in, so I think those would be, remember it's local, make some mistakes, have a mentor, show up in this business. Unfortunately, one of the byproducts of the COVID generation is they've taught us that we don't need to be in person anymore. And I think the agents that could be in person, show that confidence and competence, leverage technology in a way that you don't need to overwhelm people with technology, but help you.
Mm-hmm.
Those would be some things I think that would, if I was, starting with a new agent tomorrow, those would be some things I'd reinforce.
I imagine in your 25 years, you've trained different people at different levels of where they're at in their career, whether, today's their first day or they've been doing this 3 years and, they're coming, they're trying to keep moving forward. what I have seen with a lot of the, because I have a lot of top producers on, that's why, I bring them on, because they're above the average, but all of them have reached a lid at some point in their production. When you're training someone, because there's a lot of agents who just think they can do it all. What is some advice do you give, or when it's time to maybe dump some of that stuff you don't like to do, or is more administrative and not, getting you that next sale? How do you coach them through that? What are you training on that?
Well, let's talk some basics.
Hmm.
This is, once again, this is super fundamental or
Hmm.
basic, but there's two things an agent does with his or her day. And I would assume it's probably the same in your business and the mortgage side.
Hmm.
There's two things. If I followed any agent around in America, top agent to the most experienced rookie, I could take a legal pad, draw a line down the middle, and write down everything they do on one side or the other. They either do business development activities or business support activities. That's it. Everything falls into business development or business support. Now, what do you think, Tracy, knowing what you know, what do most agents spend most of their time doing each day? Business development or business support?
I'm going to guess support.
You're exactly right.
Right.
Why do you think that
That's
is?
why there's such a small percentage that are really successful. Yeah.
The reason why that is first of all, it's easier. And don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Let me make this very clear. It's got to get done. You've got to do the business support stuff. We got to get the deal from contract to closing.
Hmm.
So we've got to do that thing. But the reason why most agents spend most of their time on business support and not business development is because there's no rejection involved in business support. Being on MLS today for 3 hours is never going to say no to you. Making a flyer in Canva for an open house you have coming next week is never going to say, we already have a realtor. Being on TikTok, thinking of your next great video is never going to say, we're going to use somebody else. But here's what I know, 25 years in the business. If you spend all your time on business support and not business development, there soon will be no business to support. So you've got to say, my time, my energy, my focus every day needs to be on business development. How can I put, like a farmer, put seeds in the ground that could turn into business? And then how can I leverage systems, whether that's virtual assistant, whether that's technology, whether that's in-person assistance, leverage them to do some of my business support stuff so that I, like most agents, can spend more of my time with customers and clients in my community, at charity event, at the school, at the local pub, doing more face to face, putting seeds in the ground that could turn into business tomorrow, next week, next month, or next year. Right? A farmer every day needs to prune and fertilize and water, but it starts by putting seeds in the ground. Right? Farmers don't just wake up one day and say, I want to be a farmer, and then tomorrow they have a crop. It's not how it works. They have to, so the handwritten notes that I wrote today and yesterday, that could turn into business next week, next month, or next year. The social media touches I made this morning could turn into business next week, next month, or next year. But each time I put a seed in the ground and water it and fertilize it, there's a chance that my name pops to the top of someone's mind before someone else's does, because they just saw something from Sean Carpenter in their mailbox, in their inbox, in their social feed, on their voicemail, in person, right? And so it's that consistency and those touches. So that goes back to the question of, are you doing business development activities every day, or are you just stuck doing business support? So if I can find ways to manage around my weaknesses, right? Focus on my strengths, manage around my weaknesses, and do more of the things I'm good at, right? Which would be, for most of the top agents, face to face, nose to nose, toes to toes, belly to belly, conversations every day. But when it comes down to it, look, we just, we just turned into the new year. We're 49 days away, I think, as we record this, from the day that pitchers and catchers report in Major League Baseball, right? And in the state that we're in right now, in Florida, and across the country in Arizona, in about 2.5 months, the best baseball players in the world are going to show up. The best baseball players in the world, Tracy, are going to show up in Florida and Arizona. And you know what they're going to do for the first 3 weeks of practice? They're going to practice the basics: throwing, catching, running, hitting. They're the best baseball players in the world. Yet they're going to practice the basics, things you learn in Little League. Why? Because that's how you become the best baseball players in the world. You get really good at the basics. And so the top agents I coach, circling back to your question, the top agents I coach, when they start hitting that lid, when they start saying, I can't do anymore, they could delegate out the business support stuff, or they could go back to what they're good at, and that's the basics: breakfasts, coffees, lunches, happy hours, staying in touch with past clients. Here's a simple little thing. I did 5 coaching sessions today. one of my agents, I said, to get to the next level, you're going to have to do more than you did to get here. Right? I looked at her business the last 5 years. I said, in the last 5 years, you've had 88 buyers, right? Over those course of the last 5 years. So let's assume all of them still live in the house that she helped them buy. If she stays in touch with those people enough, consistently through the different channels, Tracy, imagine if each one of them knew one person this year that was going to buy or sell a house. Just one person in their neighborhood, at their work, in their family, in their peer group. One person. That's 80 to referrals just by staying top of mind, by doing the
Right.
basics.
I was just thinking, even if those 88 people sent her one person in the next 3 to 4 years, it would move the needle for her.
Exactly.
She couldn't handle
Exactly.
every one of them giving her a customer
Yep.
plus new customers that she's gaining with her own advertising or lead buy or whatever it may be that where she's getting them. Yeah. That seems to be
That's right.
it is the theme. How often, in this case, you got 88 buyers there. How often, what at Caldwell, you guys have a plan or a system involved. How often should they be touching them? And that could be, an email, a generic email through the CRM, a phone call, whatever different ways to reach out and touch them. How many times a month or year should she be touching those 88 people?
That's a great question. And I don't think there's no one answer that applies to everybody. But
Right.
the number I would put in people's heads is 16. 16. Now think about this. If I'm going to aim for 16 touches with my people in my database, my past clients, I can automate 12 of those, right? I could send a e-newsletter each month. I could send a print copy newsletter each month, right? And there's 12.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not the smartest guy in the world, Tracy, but the average human being has one birthday a year, right? So if I call the husband on his birthday and the wife on her birthday, if they're married, they have an anniversary. And if I sold them the house, there's the anniversary when I sold them the house. There's 4 touches right there.
Right.
Got our phone call, face to face. Now we're up to 16. So every other touch then is bonus at this point in time. Right? Now I want to try and mix up the set it and forget of the email newsletter or the print copy newsletter in their mailbox. There's 6 channels. You heard me talk about them throughout this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
The 6 channels I have of talking to you would be face to face, voice to voice, screen, which is me texting my screen to your screen. There's inbox, there's mailbox, and there's social media. 6 channels I can talk to you on, right?
Mm-hmm.
I want to show up in front of you, Tracy, on all of them. Not every day, all of them, but I want it to be where when you see Sean Carpenter or when someone brings up Sean Carpenter, you say, man, I see Sean Carpenter everywhere because I was in your mailbox last month.
Right.
And I was in your email box earlier this week because I sent you a just listed card or I sent you an update about the neighborhood or I sent you something else. And you saw me on social media and you saw me at the kids' school event and you got a handwritten note from me on your birthday last week. And I called you the other day. And all of a sudden it's like, man, I see Sean everywhere, but I'm not really everywhere. I'm just not in the same channel. So many people in our business, they get stuck in one channel. They say, oh, I have Tracy on my email drip campaign. He gets an email from me every 3 weeks. If I'm sending you an email every 3 weeks and you're not ready to buy or sell real estate, you hit delete or unsubscribe. And I think, oh, nope, Tracy's my guy because I send him an email every 3 weeks or every 5 weeks or every 6 weeks, or I send him my just listed cards every time I have a listing. I only touch you through your mailbox. I'm missing all those other opportunities.
Right.
Does that make sense to you that
Yeah.
all those channels?
Well, you don't know which one they're going to connect with, right? They may love social media. They may love a text message, but in most cases, you really don't know yet what is their preferred avenue anyway.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And if you're not hitting them in the preferred avenue, you're hitting them in the hundreds of emails that we get a day in our personal email. Yeah, they may be just deleting you or unsubscribe because they're just trying to clean out their mailbox. Yeah.
4.5 of those channels I can use through this phone, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can get you on texting through the phone. I can get you on voice to voice through the phone. I can get you on inbox through the phone. I can get you on social media through the phone. That's 4. I can't really get in your mailbox unless I use an app like Postagram to send you a postcard from a picture on my phone that comes to your mailbox.
Right.
I can't get face to face with you, but I can get face to face with you if I send a video text or do FaceTime. So I can get face to face through this device. So really 5 of these channels I can do through my phone. The only one I can't do is is mailbox. But once again, I can do mailbox by sending a postcard through Postagram or send out cards or something like that. So it's mixing up the channels, aiming for that 16 touches a year, making them relevant, making them not pushy, right? The 12 email newsletters could be about my market, could be fun activities, could be anything, could be real estate related, maybe six real estate related, six non real estate related. The phone call on your birthday is genuine. The phone call on your wife's birthday is genuine. Happy anniversary and the home anniversary. What a great one.
You may have summed up for this question, but in case you have something you want to add to it, because obviously building relationships, memorable customer experiences is part of what a lot of things that you train in. My question that I had put down here was building relationships. What are a few small things agents can do to get bigger results in the relationship building? And when I say relationships, my thought is a little more, yeah, they know who you are, they get in the email, but that's not really, I mean, you may have had a good experience with you. So like, hey, he's a good realtor, but how do you take it to another level when it comes to relations? What are you finding around people you talk to, the other RE bar camps? Just a couple of things that some agents are doing that's getting just really big results when it comes to relationship building.
You want one of the simple ones, Tracy?
Yeah, a couple simple ones and pretty much
Remembering people's names. Remembering people's names.
Good one.
It's the one thing in this world that everybody takes ownership of. You could lose everything tomorrow in your business and you still have your name.
Mm-hmm.
Think about this, Tracy. If you're walking through Hartsfield International Airport, the busiest airport in the world, you're on your way to gate B24, and someone says, "Hey, Tracy," for a split second, you say to yourself, "I know they're not talking to me, but they might." Right? You hear your voice; it stands out above any noise in the crowd, and I think that's the easy one. Remember people's names. The old-fashioned Ford technique. Talk about their family, their occupation, their recreation, their dreams. Right? Real estate will come up at some point. It just doesn't need to be the first thing you talk about.
Right.
So I think remembering people's names and then knowing where they went to college, where they work, where their kids go to school. Like Tracy, hey, I saw Bishop Kenny won the game the other day. Your son get in the game, or I saw whatever it might be. And you're like, man, how did John remember? Not only did my son go to Bishop Kenny, but that he played soccer or whatever it might be. And so those are some little things. And once again, there's where you can take the online offline.
Right.
And I can see that you got a new puppy on Facebook. I can go into my CRM and add new puppy Beagle named Baxter, right? So next time I talk to you, I might ask about Baxter. The next time I see a article about beagles, I say, "Oh, my friend Tracy has a beagle. I'm going to send this article to him."
Right.
So it's that, but little things like that I think are simple.
So taking some copious notes, adding to your CRM, just some little tidbits. Doesn't have to be everything about their life, but just some, bigger things like you just mentioned, the dog, school, college or whatever, sports team, because those things will pop up periodically in our lives. They won a game, lost a game, or whatever. I think was your social media post. Did you post something about the Florida State Georgia game on there? Was that on your social media?
I put a little visual, the opt out, the opt out cop out. Yeah.
Yes.
I got some good, I'm a Gator. So
That's right. You probably got some hits on that. Somebody was some Gator.
Well, but I also reached out to a couple of my loyal Florida State fans and say, hey, look, we can tease each other because we're both big fans of the rivals. But I posted that, in jest. I wasn't trying to hurt anyone's feelings. I don't think I did.
No. I think everyone saw that. I want to finish up with this because a lot of the stuff that we're talking about, you have to have when we mentioned earlier, a long-term marketing mindset. So when you're training any of this type of stuff that we're talking about and building relationships, I find too many people are too short-sighted on it. They want to post an Instagram. They want to, they remember the guy's name in the airport one time and think he should be referring everybody to him. To understand that it takes time and the amount of touches and so forth. How do you express that or, get that across to your students?
I call it the attention economy, right? We live right now in the attention economy. Picture a clock, Tracy. At the top of the clock, where 12 o'clock would go, is the attention. At the bottom of the clock, down at 6 o'clock, is the word trust. That's where we're living right now. If I can capture your attention, all I'm trying to do is earn your trust in that short minute, 2 minutes, 10 minutes, 60-minute Facebook interview. Because if I can earn your trust, The next time I speak up or show up, you'll hopefully give me your attention. Right. And every time I get your attention, I have to earn your trust. I have to be confident, competent, and consistent. How do I get from the top to the bottom? How do I get from 12 to 6? How do I get from 6 to 12? Patience. I have patience. I say this is a get rich business. It's just not a get rich quick business,
Mhm.
right? I can earn your trust, capture your attention, earn your trust. That's the kind of the whole goal of where we're at.
Right. You got to keep filling the bucket, so to speak. Like I said, some people 2 or 3 touches, or some people just have a wonderful experience, and before you even close on the house, are already referring you. Others may take a couple of years, and it's one thing. Both of us have been in sales for a couple decades or more, and to realize the most wonderful feeling is all of a sudden you get a referral out of the blue to that customer we had 3 or 4 years ago, or I had one a couple months ago, a customer that I dealt with probably 5 years ago, call me out of the blue because I still have the same phone number and say, hey, we were looking to build a house and we need a loan and so forth. And because you just got to keep touching and touching and touching. Some will respond right away. Some may take years, but you can't give up on them. You just got to keep playing the game and keep moving down the field, one play, one first down at a time. Sean, anything you want to leave for our RE bar camp? We're here at just a little over an hour. What you were thinking about chatting with at the RE bar camp, expressing across? Do you have something or something maybe we haven't covered yet that tells them a little bit more about you?
No, I think you can see my whole philosophy is tied into my build relationships, solve problems, and have fun. Right.
Mhm.
If I can do those things, then I can live my life and let real estate happen in the cracks. It's one of my kind of philosophies as well. Is that if I just go out there and be myself, a business that's kind of designed for me or going to fit my style is going to show up. Put myself in position to have lots of conversations and look for appointments. Right. I mean, that's the two things agents should focus on this year: conversations and appointments. Right. When you go to RE Bar Camp, have more conversations with people. Try and meet people you can have appointments with, whether that's breakfast, coffee, lunch, happy hour. Uh, you know, and just earn that top of mind awareness opportunity from your people and their people and their people, so that when real estate comes up, there's a good chance that people think of me. But once again,
Right.
if golf comes up, there's a good chance they think of me. If craft beer comes up, there's a good chance they think of me. If someone in Jacksonville, Florida is talking about Columbus, Ohio, and they say, well, call that Sean Carpenter guy. He's from there. He might know somebody.
Right.
Right. So
Right.
it's those three things. When I lay my head on the pillow and go to sleep tonight, I try and just ask myself, did I build relationships today? Did I solve problems today? Did I have fun? If I can answer yes to those three things, it's a pretty good day.
I'm gonna come up with this last question here, or thing is, talk again. I get a lot of common themes, and talking to top producers, finding that marketing thing that you enjoy doing. Imagine you probably talk to a lot of, especially new agents coming in, finding what you like to do. Because if they don't like doing the marketing that they're being taught at their brokerage, because it's, hey, we're doing cold calling and that's what we do, and that's all they're taught, and they're not brought outside the box, they're probably gone in less than 2 years. How important is it for agents, and how can they find that niche that they just enjoy doing? Like you said, it may be trying to have as many coffee appointments. So can they have 5 coffee appointments a week in the morning? Can they have lunch with a prospect or a past prospect to build that relationship? How important is it to find that thing that they just love to do? And that's why they get up in the morning with a smile on their face.
Figure out what gets a smile on your face and then
Well,
do more of that.
not
Right. I
having knowing
mean,
that you have to eat a frog, that they can actually make the day enjoyable, and finding that go to marketing, whatever it is.
yeah. Well, and I think sometimes we get caught in this business thinking I have to do it the way the other agents have done it. I
Right.
have to do it the way the other top agents have done it. And that's not necessarily the case. Right. And we see that in sports. We see, oh, you have to win the game this way until another coach comes in and wins the game another way. And then all of a sudden it starts shifting that way. And the game of golf, right? I mean,
Right.
the game of golf has evolved over the last few years. People, aren't doing it the same way they used to do it. The equipment's changed, the
Mhm.
course has changed, the outlook has changed, the training has changed. So same thing with real estate. It's the same thing. Find out where you're good and be really good at it. Be consistent at it, and guess what? You can win. You don't need to win every deal. Right? You don't need to be the number one agent in the business. You need to be the number one agent in your house tonight. when you go home, if you're the best agent in your house, start there.
It makes me think of two sports analogies. I think Tiger Woods showed the golf world how important it was to obviously have a very regimented practice, that you would think all golfers do, but not all of them do. Regimented practice, but also the way he kept his body working out, and because it gets late in that fourth round and you're on the 18th hole, and can you swing the club one more time, and they get one. And I think he showed the thing. And I think Tom Brady, if you think about it, as he realized, as he got over 30, he needed to start training differently in the off season, eating right, and having this, right strength coach and all that other kind of stuff that extended his career there. And that's good. When you were saying that sports analogy just made me think of they changed way some of these guys, took care of themselves,
Sure.
and it made them obviously the best in the business. So, Sean, I appreciate you coming on today.
Yeah, have a good time. Look forward to
Hopefully
seeing you
get to
guys in
shake your
Jacksonville.
hand here in a few weeks on the 26th at our RE bar camp. You're going out to what'd you say? You're going out to the driving range this afternoon, or you're playing around?
Going out to the driving range, going to play tomorrow. So getting ready for tomorrow's round.
All right. Well, stay loose. I appreciate it. You have a great day.
All right, thanks, man.
Thanks, Sean.